What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Well, I am here at Black Diamond Regional Preserve in Antioch, California. And at the top of the hill, there is an old cemetery. It goes back to the miner days, the coal miner days, the coal mining boom of the 19th century. And it is called Rose Hill Cemetery. Now, it is a bit of a hike up some walking trails, and but it's beautiful, beautiful scenery. And just come over here and check this out on the way up the hill to the cemetery. Look at this. So since this is the Halloween spooky season, I decided to come up to this cemetery because there are a couple of urban legends that are attached to this cemetery. Some ghostly sightings in this cemetery. And this cemetery is considered to be one of the most haunted in California. And for good reason, as I'm going to probably outline in this visit. I've been here before, but being, like I said, it's Halloween, I wanted to come back and kind of highlight it again and show a few things maybe I didn't see before. And we are here. It was quite a bit of a trek. I had to stop and catch my breath a couple times because some parts were pretty steep. But this is Rose Hill Cemetery. Here's the front gate. And it is part of the East Bay Regional Park District. As you can see here, there's some signs. It says on the sign here, this pioneer cemetery was the Protestant burial ground for those who died during the 19th century boom of the Mount Diablo coal mining district. It is located between the Nortonville and Summersville town sites, which do not exist anymore. It is basically all considered Antioch, California. And it says many of those buried here died in mining accidents or were victims of diphtheria, scarlet fever, or smallpox, some of the more common diseases at the time. And it also notes here that vandalism had almost destroyed the cemetery by the time the East Bay Regional Park District assumed responsibility for the property in 1974. A long-term project to restore the cemetery is now in progress. And it says, if you have any information concerning people buried here or the whereabouts of missing gravestones, please call Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve, and there's the phone number. Now, it's interesting because, yeah, they have some records from this cemetery, but there's records that were lost, and they are feeling, because of the vandalism and because so much time has passed, that there's probably more people buried in here than are listed. And if they want to know if you have any information regarding anybody in here that they might have missed, to call them so they can get on working on getting that grave marked, or graves marked if they have more that they were not aware of. And this is the map of the area. And on the signboard here, there's pictures of just the different residents of the different towns. Nortonville, Sarah Norton in a black dress and with a member of the Gordon family of Clayton, California. Now, Sarah Norton is an interesting character. She is one of the people that has an urban legend surrounding her in this cemetery, this lady in this black dress right here. And I'm going to touch on that in a little while. And they got people from Summersville, looks like Summersville, and Stewartville, and Nortonville. And this is pictures of the cemetery. This is a miner's monument. It was erected in 1878 by the citizens of Nortonville in memory of David Watts, Theophilus Watts, and Thomas D. Jones. They were victims of a mining accident. And we're going to go up to that spot. And as you can see, there's a big bronze, or there was a big bronze monument that was in the middle of it. And from what I understand, that was stolen over the years due to vandalism and whatnot. And it looks like this is a picture of Rose Hill Cemetery in 1938. And just, all the trees are still probably in their, it looks like they're in their proper place. Whereas I'm gonna go up the hill, we're gonna see. But this was a picture of the cemetery in 1938. And then over the years, before the Park District took it over, there, like I said, there was a lot of vandalism. And then finally, in 1974, the Park District grabbed a hold of it and started cleaning it up and replacing stones. And at the front of the cemetery here by the gate, under this tree, there's some graves. But what I was reading here, there is a grave of a woman. And her name is right here. It's Ruth French. And she died September 11th, I think 1874. This stone is badly damaged. And she died at 81 years of age. Now, why Ruth French is notable in this cemetery was because she was, on record, from what I was reading, one of the oldest burials in this cemetery. Because, as you know, because of those diseases like scarlet fever and smallpox, a lot of the people died at early ages and very young. And she lived to 81, so she is on record as being the oldest person buried in this cemetery, from what I was reading. And over here, there's another notable. William T. Davis, 1879 to 1954. Now, he is, from what I was reading, notable in this cemetery because he is one of the most recent burials, being buried here in 1954. He was one of the most recent people buried here, or I guess one of the last. Now, in cemeteries similar to this, I have run into people where I've seen like fairly recent burials, burials that were outside of the 1800s. And I'd ask people, that I've seen, or people who worked for the Park District and other similar cemeteries, why or how could there be such like recent burials in a cemetery like this? And they had explained to me that back then, a lot of this stuff, these burials, it was taken care of ahead of time. So it was already in the family ahead of time that certain individuals would be buried in these cemeteries. And sometimes it was years later, in the 1950s, or I've seen them in these types of cemeteries that people were buried in 2000, 2001, 2002. But from what I understand, what I was told, that it's all in the family, and the arrangements are made years and years ahead of time for people. So that's how come you see sometimes, from what I was told, recent burials in these cemeteries. And as I explained before, there was some vandalism. So as we go along here, we're going to see some vandalism in in this cemetery here. There's going to be stones missing. There may be little placards placed where a stone was completely destroyed or missing. Little placards in place that the Park District had placed to actually identify people. Probably were being identified as people were calling the Park District, where people knew stuff more about the cemetery than they did. But this is Anne Clement, native of South Wales. A lot of people came from far and away to partake in the coal mining boom of this area. She was born March 17th, 1834, and died February 13th, 1875. She was 40 years of age, 10 months, and 17 days. This is a beautiful stone. I am sure that volunteers over the years have come in here to clean up these stones, because some of these stones look really good, really clean, and then some of them don't. And I think volunteers over the years have come in to clean stones. This is a beautiful one. This one right here is missing, as you can see. And some of these stones, I think, were replacement stones as well, because some of them look like the bases look really new, or the bases, actually the bases are probably new on some of these because they're still cracked. As you can see, this one, H.S. and M. A. Green, died December 8th, 1879, aged 7 months, 19 days. This is a child's grave right here, gone but not forgotten. And it looks like the base is probably a replacement base when they were fixing up the vandalism that happened in here. And Mary A., daughter of W.M.N. and Sarah G. Dawson, died October 7th, 1879, aged 4 months and 7 days. Gone for not forgotten again. Wow, this is crazy. Another one. Geo and M.A. Hook died February 20th, 1875, I think, aged 3 months and 4 days. God took thee from... I can't read the rest of it, but it's on there. And there's missing gate doors on some of these, which is horrible. And it's George B., beloved husband of Mary A. Hook, died December 16th, and it's completely destroyed. As you can see, there's the base right there. Now this was probably placed by the Park Service when probably somebody had notified them, or maybe they had records, some records of who this was. Millie Pole, January 12th, 1872 to January 16th, 1875, and Dora, January 1874 to July 14th, 1874. So yeah, not very old. And the plaque was placed in 2007. Let's see here. Peter Davis, native of Carmarthen Shire, South Wales, died March 14th, 1872, age 52. Judge not that ye be not judged. And then it says at the bottom here, it's kind of hard to get in because the gate, Pioneer Steam Marble Work. It says at the very bottom. Now, this is kind of creepy because from what I could tell right here, right now, I'm the only one in this cemetery right now. I don't know if there's more people down the hill coming up the trail, but at this moment, I'm the only one here from what I could tell. And it is creepy because this is considered one of the most haunted cemeteries in California. Crazy craziness. Now, being Halloween is coming up very soon, there's a couple stories attached to this cemetery that I'm going to tell you guys. A couple of urban legends, which are very, very interesting. One of them goes back some years. What I read, there was no date attached to this story, but there was a ghost story that was in here. There was a man that was down at the bottom of the hill here, I guess in the cemetery. And I guess he was walking through here at night for some reason. And he was down here at the bottom of the cemetery. And he was looking up at the hill, as you see here. And off in the distance, coming down the hill, he saw what looked like to be a funeral procession. People were coming down. It was a horse-drawn hearse. People had candles. The candles were flickering, coming right down this hill right here. I would assume it's this hill. This seems like it's the main road into the cemetery, or up through the cemetery. And he had said, as he walked closer, and the funeral procession, for what it looked like, got closer to him, everybody just vanished into thin air. Now that is pretty damn creepy, if you ask me. But hey, it's Halloween time, right? Now this stone looks very clean and looks like it's been refurbished, fixed, because you can see cracks going through it. But it is the grave of Margaret, wife of Robert Leam, who departed this life October 3rd, 1884, aged 47 years, 9 months, 8 days. And it says here, we will not mourn, for her tasks are done, her trials are ended, and glory won. And then May, daughter of Robert and Margaret Leam, died September 7th, 1870, aged 10 years, 4 months, and 4 days. Now I'm willing to bet, again, from probably smallpox or scarlet fever, or one of those horrible, horrible diseases of the day. I am sure that's why a lot of these children were dying up in here. And here's one. The stone is completely gone, as you can see. So the base is the only thing there. But they actually put a placard here. Thomas Richmond, 1825 to 1882, and Anne, 1826 to 1882. They both, same year. And the plaque was placed in 2005. crazy. Some of these have greenery growing up through them, trees. Let's see. Annie, daughter of J.H. and M. Williams, died December 4th, 1876, aged 1 year, 6 months, 21 days. And it says at the bottom here, our Annie has gone to heaven to rest, to sing happy greetings to God among the blessed. Wow. Very beautiful stone. It's all a little brick border here too. And this is the grave of Reese G. Thomas, died December 6th, 1875. Looks like age 48 years, 3 months, 6 days. And Elvira, his daughter, died July 18th, 1870, aged 1 year, 5 months, 11 days. Wow, this is sad. And here is that one area that was dedicated to the people who died in a mining accident. This is very, very sad. This is the area. It's got a brick border around it. It's beautiful too. It was once a beautiful grave. It still is. And it says, in memory of David Watts, Theophilus Watts, and Thomas D. James. These young Welshmen died far from home in an 1876 mine accident. Despite hard times, the people of Nortonville pitched in to erect a white bronze monument on this site. This plaque keeps their memory alive, dedicated April 5th, 1980, Joaquin Murrieta, Chapter 13, E Clampus Vitus. And as I talked about also the vandalism in the cemetery, I'm sure this is where the bronze monument probably stood. I know there's a picture board of the monument. I think I showed it earlier, but I'll try to slip a picture in here actually into this video of what it looked like before the monument was stolen. Now here's one here. Beautiful, beautiful little ironwork around it. But from what I can see, the stone, it's totally rubbed out. There is actually no name on it whatsoever. I can see barely something. But I don't know if maybe a good cleaning would show up more. If the stone got a good cleaning, if it would show up more. But I can see a little bit of something, but I can't make it out. It's just so weather beaten and I guess rubbed out that it's really hard to tell. And if you remember the beginning of the video when I was showing that picture board, and they had a picture of this place, what was it, 1932, and it had all the trees in that picture. Here is the trees with this beautiful, beautiful little grave area here. Mary died September 20th, 1880, aged 8 years. And it says Abel, December 30th, 1876, but his is actually rubbed out. And more of the trees from that 1932 picture that I showed in the beginning. And here is another grave, another person that is tied to an urban legend, Miss Sarah Norton, or Mrs. Sarah Norton. She was a native of Canada. She died October 5th, 1879. She was 68 years of age. And she's got a little story behind her that I'm going to tell you guys. So, she is known, or I guess earned the moniker of the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery. Now, what she was a midwife, and back in those times, she, according to local records, had helped deliver over 600 babies. And on October 5th, 1879, she was on her way to another call in her horse-drawn carriage when the carriage hit some bumpy and rough road, and she was thrown from the carriage and pretty much died instantly. Now, she had expressed to her family years before her death, because she was not a religious woman, she had expressed to her family that upon her death, she did not want a funeral. Basically, she just wanted to be buried here in Rose Hill Cemetery. So when she finally did die from that buggy accident, the townspeople had basically, because of her good deeds as a midwife, had basically decided they were going to have a funeral for her anyway. So, on the first attempt of the day of her funeral, a fierce storm broke out. Thunder, lightning, rain, the whole 9 yards, thus halting her funeral for the day. And then a few days later, on the redo date, mysteriously, a bunch of cattle had broken out of a pen nearby and charged through the town of Nortonville, thus stopping her funeral again. So finally, the townspeople just gave up. And they had basically just came and put her here and buried her, and that was it. And at that time and since then, her ghost has been seen floating effortlessly around the headstones in this cemetery, and seen back then around the town of Nortonville, Summersville, floating around the town as well. So I guess that's a lesson to people, that when somebody has a final wish, to grant that final wish to them and not go against it, because mysterious things happened surrounding her funeral, which prevented her from having the funeral. So, I'm going to give you a closer look at the stone here. It's also been cracked. It's probably been vandalized. But Mrs. Sarah Norton, and she's a native of Canada. October 5th, 1879, she was 68. Our head and stay has left us, and we are left alone. Our mother dear, who was so near, is fled away and gone. It breaks our hearts. It is hard to part with one who was so kind. Where shall we go to ease our woe or soothe our troubled mind? And it says the bottom was erected by her son. And people come to visit this, and this grave attracts a lot of people because of the urban legend around it, and people have placed coins on here. This one right here, I would assume, could be her husband. I don't know exactly, but it's right next to hers. So there you go. Now, what kind of confuses me about this story is she earned the moniker of the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery, but she was in the community doing good as a midwife, helping deliver babies. But like I said, these stories, they go around for years and years and years and change. This story might have changed 10 times before I just told it right now, or 20 times, who knows. But that is confusing because she was known as a good person in the community, but then people had labeled her a witch or the White Witch, which is kind of strange. But that's the story of Sarah Norton, the White Witch of Rose Hill Cemetery. Just look at this. This is just gorgeous. It's walking trails. It's a regional preserve. There's walking trails. I do believe you can ride horses through here. It's just gorgeous and beautiful. It's kind of an overcast, cloudy day here in Antioch, California. But there is actually one more story that's attached to this cemetery that I'm going to tell you. So, as I had mentioned, there was one more urban legend I wanted to tell you about this place. As I've been walking through this cemetery, I've been coming across different gravestones of women with the first name of Mary. Now, what's interesting about this is, as I told you, this is an old coal mining community. This area was part of the coal mining boom of the 19th century, the whole bit. And there was a lady. She was a nanny, and her name was Mary. Now, there was no last name attached to this story, so I don't know which Mary in here could be her. But she was a nanny. And over the years, kids that she was looking out for, they died of certain illnesses, or they died mysteriously. Now, of course, back in the day, there were smallpox, scarlet fever, etc. But some of these kids, like I had said, had died mysteriously under her care. So, for what it sounds like, the townspeople had found out she was taking part in sorcery rituals, like witchcraft, etc., etc. So basically, after the kids had died and they had found this stuff out, the townspeople, they hung her for her crimes. And she was, she was a witch. They hung her for her crimes. And supposedly she has been buried in this cemetery. Now, like I said, there's many, many women named Mary in this cemetery. There's a few stones with people named Mary. So it's kind of hard to figure out who's who and which Mary it is, or if it was even marked because of her crimes. They might have just put her in an unmarked grave somewhere in here. We don't know for sure. And since that time, being that this is also a coal mining area, her ghost has been seen floating around the coal mines, in the old mines. They around here at this regional park, they give tours in the mines, and there's been people who have been maybe like rangers and workers who have been in there that have claimed to have possibly seen Mary, the White Witch of Black Diamond Mines. Very, very interesting tale. But the mines are down on lower ground, down the hill here. And like I said, they do give tours this time of year. They're giving tours of the mines and everything. But supposedly, her ghost is seen guarding the mines down there. That's crazy. Well, that is it for our visit here at Rose Hill Cemetery. I hope you guys enjoyed the scenery, enjoyed some of the old graves, and some of the urban legends that are attached to this cemetery and some of the people who are buried within. Thank you all so much for watching. If you dig this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Therefore, you can be notified of all of my future uploads, guys. Once again, it's been a pleasure. And spooky, spooky time for Halloween. Happy Halloween, guys. Oh, now for the trek back down the hill. But I guess the trek going back down is going to be easier than coming up, that's for sure.